Howdy, folks. So today we are going to finally talk about how to tidy. Blah, 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 blah. I'm not reshooting this, so we are going to keep this take. Howdy, folks. So today we are going to talk about how to create tidy data. How do you tidy it up? And so let's just dive in. All right. So the grammar of data wrangling is based on kind of the concepts of functions as verbs here. We're manipulating our data frame. And there are tons of these options, but here are the kind of the key ones. So we got select, and that's to pick columns by name. Arrange, to reorder our columns. Slice, to pick rows using indices or just one index. Filter, pick rows that match criteria. So this is different from slice. But you can use one or the other depending on your needs to get the same end result of picking your rows. Next, we got distinct, which is filtering for unique rows. So if you have duplicates, things like that, distinct is your friend. We got mutate. Mutate is adding new variables. So you are mutating and creating a new life form variable as a function of other variables. We also got summarize, which is to summarize. I mean, the names are pretty self-explanatory. Like when you have the name, it's pretty easy to think about what it does. Now the challenge is when you want to do something, you have to remember what the verb is. And that's where I tend to look them up on a fairly regular basis or pull up one of the Tidyverse cheat sheets to remind me. And probably by making this video, it'll really help. The hope is it'll solidify which verbs do which. We've also got group by. And group by is great because what it does is it groups by, and then you can do the other operations by group. So if you want to summarize data by gender, you group by gender and then mutate to make your mean or summarize if you want to do it that way. Lots of cool ways to do it. This is a really powerful tool. So here are the basic rules for dplyr functions. First is the first argument is always a data frame. Always. Doesn't take matrix, doesn't take a list. It's got to be a data frame. And every argument following that tells you what to do with that data frame. And it will always return that data frame, return a data frame. And also, so it doesn't modify anything in the input, you have to save it. You have to assign, if you want to save those modifications and not just have them print out, you need to assign it to your variable. So we're going to work through some data and kind of just get familiar. We will be working our way through activity, whatever the activity is that corresponds with it. It may have a renumbering, but so here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at data with hotel bookings. And this data is from two hotels. One is a resort and one is a city hotel. Now, in this data, each row represents a hotel booking. And the goal for the original data was to develop a prediction model to classify a hotel booking's likelihood of cancellation. This data set was used as a Tidy Tuesday, which tends to have really cool data sets with various challenges. I always intend to do the Tidy Tuesday, which is like kind of a fun community thing. And you are welcome to do that as one of your like portfolio pieces. Because it's a good exercise, but it always tends to be one of those things I ought to do and never actually do. But it's really good practice. So anyway, let's read in our data set and call it hotels. And then we are going to take a first look, as we have right now, by printing out the names of our variables. And so we can see that there are at least 15. It's likely more. Let us fix it to make it so it fits. Okay, view. The hotkeys don't seem to work for me. All right. So we've got, okay, so it's going to report output. Let's have it just spit out 15. And, okay, my mouse is, oof, this is struggling. Come on. Okay. I'm hitting major lag. So what we're going to do, copy Control F, is replace every instance of this with 15. Yeah. Place all. Oh, well, apparently there's only one. Very exciting. All right, let's go back to our data set because okay, let's see if we can help this along. I'm closing some windows. Sometimes it's helpful, and so I'm going to close a couple of things just to see if, because it's lagging, it's really struggling. Just using a lot of my GPU, which makes sense because we're rendering. Okay. Okay. Well, it is what it is. Let's just go back and keep on plodding through. All right. Cool. So let's take a first look. Now there are more than 15 variables here. There were 32, but for the sake of this illustration, I'm only going to look at the first 15. But I encourage you to look at all of the names because this will give you some inclination of what is happening. Okay, so let's take a second look. So we have some of the names, but it's not super helpful. Well, it's good to have some sense of what is going on. If we take a glimpse, what it does is it kind of, bear with me. Hold on to your horses, folks. It gives you a little glimpse into what your data look like. It kind of gives you a bit of a snapshot, if you will. So it tells you you've got nearly 120,000 rows of data. That's a lot of data. And 32 columns. So in this case, that's 32 variables. We've got them in various data types. We've got a character variable that indicates some kind of, if it's a resort hotel or not. Essentially, we've got a lot of strings and numbers. So that's where we're going to go. So let's start. So let's select a single column using the select. So we're only going to view lead time. So that's the number of days between booking and arrival date. So here we can see as a tibble, we can see that we have one column because we have selected lead time, our variable, from the dataset hotels. And it has returned that dataset as a data frame. And it indicates here, it shows us the first 6 rows and indicates how many more rows there are. Cool. So let's start looking in. So here, got to start with a function. Our verb is select. Our first argument, okay, so the slide's kind of summarizing what I already said. But our first argument is that data frame we're working with, in this case, hotels. Next, our second argument is the variable we want to select, lead time. And as a result, we have a data frame with a gazillion rows in one column. Exactly what we asked for. Pro tip, dplyr functions always expect a data frame and will always yield a data frame. They will get unhappy if you give them anything else. And yes, I will attribute emotions to our software and functions. I recognize that they are not sentient beings. But I enjoy personification, if that was unclear at all. So what do we want? How about we select multiple columns? So let's view hotel type and lead time. Ta-da! Here, we've selected, let's see. Oh, look, I'm anticipating myself. So from our data set, which we start out here, hotels, now we've selected the variable hotel and the variable lead time. And it has given us a data frame with, you guessed it, a gazillion rows and 2 columns. But what if we are interested in selecting those columns and then arranging them in order of lead time? Well, guess what? We can do that. So let's start. Now you'll notice that I've started to use a pipe here to make this more readable. In this module, I will cover pipes. But essentially, what they do is they put whatever output you have. So here in hotels, we've stuck hotels into the first option here. So we didn't have to indicate it explicitly. And so you can also do this for functions within functions. Essentially, you take whatever is in the row above, you pipe it into the first column. And you could pipe in that output into another pipe and another pipe. It tends to make it at least a little readable, rather than having like functions nested within functions nested. It gets pretty tough pretty fast. So we started with select. Now we are going to add on another pipe. So we have hotels, which we've piped into select, where we've only selected the variables hotel and lead time. And now, in that data frame, we are going to arrange it by lead time in order of descending order. So from longest to less time. And as we can see here, it's a pretty big range. So this resort hotel was booked 2 years in advance, just to like take a peek in. All right, so that is wrapping up our little bit of grammar. And now, okay, I'm gonna leave us here. Cool. And now, I'll see you in a bit. Bye.